Part 130. Holy Dragon Totem. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 1293. It was that person who brought the Immortal Lord to life, but the Immortal Lord had forgotten him, and he also mingled with the Supreme Dragon clan as a humble ant. When they heard that he had arrived in the ancient realm, they didn't care at first. Until this time, they heard there are so many legends about Zhangzizai. The talisman of two realms, the nine dragons chaos divine bell, the ancient black fire divine pillar, the flower of origin, and the crystal beast heart are all on you. Can you kill them? Yang Mo's voice became colder, and the golden light shone in his eyes. At the signal, the other three people had quietly surrounded him. Yes, kill me and you will all get it. I am sending you a treasure. I only need you to answer my questions before you can take action. Do you still remember the question I just asked? Zhangzizai said with a smile. They looked at each other. How can you inquire about the daughter of the Immortal Lord? However, since you came to the door and announced your identity, no wonder we are rude. It seems that you are ready to die. Yang Mo squinted eyes, staring at Zhangzizai. Zhangzizai looked at him and asked, what is your relationship with the underworld demon? Underworld demon, be my master, Yang demon said with a hint of pride. It turned out to be a disciple of the nine gods. The other three Qinfu, Gao Zhihan, and Zhang Qinshuo are all the most genius god kings born in the chaotic demon realm in the past thousands of years. They are not too old, so they have the qualifications to come to the ancient realm. After all, there are only 5 places in the chaotic demon realm. Of course they wouldn't say anything about the bell, and directly chose to fight with Zhangzizai, killing Zhangzizai to get the treasure, but Zhangzizai would let them talk. After Yang Mo answered, he said, let's go together. This sentence shocked them all. They knew that Zhangzizai had received a lot of blessings, but they also roughly knew that when they first heard about his relationship with the Immortal Lord, he was just a small god, not even a god. In their memory, he should only be in his 20s. Years old, they are not from the same era at all. In terms of age, the youngest ones here are more than 100 times older than Zhangzizai. He actually said, let's go together? It was surprising enough to hear that Zhangzizai had become the God King and had the same qualifications to come to the ancient realm as they did. I didn't expect that he would be so bold when he suddenly appeared today. It really makes people laugh. He has many treasures. It is said that the person who kills him can get everything from him. These blessings are too important. I will control him and let Sister Yi Mang kill him, Zhang Qinshu asked. He wanted to kill it himself, but he didn't dare, otherwise even if he got it, he would be destroyed by the Immortal Lord. They all knew the status of the Dream God King. He was the disciple brought back by the Immortal Lord himself. People even suspected that this might be another daughter of the Immortal Lord. You can just do it yourself and we look around. Yang Mo didn't dare to argue and asked the Dream King tentatively. He has 3 heavenly artifacts, which are enough for defense. You should try it first. The Dream God King always had this tone when talking to them, indicating that she had always been like this and was not pretending temporarily. She said so herself. There are always some people who are ready to take action, thinking if she accidentally kills Zhangzizai, will she make money? After all, it was the Dream God King who asked them to do it, not them who took the initiative. Think it through, just suppress it, Yang Mo reminded, knowing that there will always be people who overthink it. Yes. The first ones to attack Zhangzizai were Zhang Qinshi and Gao Zhihan. Their totems were quite interesting. Zhang Qinshi's totem was a tree, while Gao Zhihan's was a sword. The plant totem and the Zhangzizai hadn't seen the sword totem for a long time. Facing Zhangzizai, they had not yet transformed into a totem beast. Countless green lights suddenly appeared on Zhang Qinshi's body. Those green lights stretched out like vines and instantly became a huge net, overwhelming the sky and suppressing Zhangzizai. and Gao Zhihan was holding a sword, and he was killing fiercely. For a moment, the sword energy was everywhere. One of the two restrained and controlled, and the other violently killed. The cooperation was very good. He was worthy of being the 8th level God King. He was probably only as powerful as Xuanhuan is worse. At this moment, only the totems of Zhang Zizai's eyes and eyebrows changed. Between the eyebrows, a red light flashed, and a third eye appeared. Those blood-red eyes are strange, enchanting, and breathtaking. But what looked even more terrifying was his mirror-like eyes. Gao Zhihan, who was the first to come in violently to kill him, suddenly found that he saw his own look in his eyes. This is a method that even Zhao Wuxian can control. Zhang Zi remained motionless, but Gao Zhihan felt as if he had been struck by lightning. He was stunned for a moment, and then his eyes turned blood red and he let out an angry roar. He stared at Zhang Qinchuo and said, "Beast, how dare you rape Fuyu? I'm going to kill you!" Shattered into pieces. He went completely crazy and directly transformed into a totem giant sword, that dark giant sword, and rushed towards Zhang Qinshi. Zhang Qinshi was originally going to trap Zhang Zizai, but in the end, all the tree nets made the giant sword was chopped. Not only that, Gao Zhihan was not afraid of death at all. He had only one goal, which was to kill Zhang Qinchuo. "Gao Zhihan, you're crazy." "What do you mean?" Zhang Qinchuo was stunned. He was not paying attention and almost split him in half. At this time, he quickly backed away, but he caught up with him completely. The desperate fighting style completely made his eyes red. "Gao Zhihan, what are you talking about?" When Qin Fuyu saw such a change, she was also anxious. She quickly went up and wanted to make it clear to Gao Zhihan. Unexpectedly, after Gao Zhihan saw her, he became even more furious. He roared angrily, "Bitch, I've paid so much for you these years, and you abandoned me for him. You don't deserve to die." Not only did he want to kill Zhang Qinchinj, he also wanted to kill Gao Zhihan. Naturally, he did not have the strength to fight one against two, but the key was that he was not afraid of death, and the other two certainly would not kill him, so this became a battle. In an endless battle, these three people together couldn't even touch Zhang Zizai. Such an amazing psychedelic ability, must it come from the flower of origin? Yang Mo frowned deeply and said, "I didn't expect that you are not at a high level, but you can do this with the help of the three heavenly artifacts. To such an extent that you directly control an 8th level God King, no wonder you dare to challenge us here. That's not all. Next, it's your turn." Zhang Zizai smiled. The three people were completely entangled with each other. The only ones who could face Zhang Zizai now were the Yang Demon and the Dream King. The Yang Demon is the 9th level of the God King, a being close to the gods, and one of the most promising people in the entire Chaos Demon realm to become the new gods. In the years when the Underworld Demon and the Immortal Lord disappeared, he was also one of the people in charge of the overall situation in the Chaos Demon realm. He had been enduring the humiliation and finally waited for a glimmer of hope in the Chaos Demon realm, and finally waited for the Immortal Lord to be resurrected. But at this moment, he didn't wait for the Dream King to say anything, and took action directly, running towards Zhang Zizai. Chapter 3 Today. I'm in a bad state and my head hurts when I write. Thank you for your understanding. Please bookmark this site to read the latest novels. Holy Dragon Totem. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 1294. Yang Mo is a very cautious person. He never takes it lightly when facing a weaker opponent. Moreover, he now knows that although Zhang Zizai is at a low level, he possesses the three great divine tools, especially in terms of soul and spirit, which is unmatched. This happens to be his weak point, so he dare not take it lightly. Gao Zhihan's strength is not weak. Among the 8th level God Kings, he is considered to be a very outstanding one. However, Zhang Zizai can control the soul so easily, which shows his strength in soul and spirit. According to Yang Mo's experience, when fighting with such a person, you must avoid his strengths and attack his weaknesses. He can only bear Zhang Zizai's strengths, but Zhang Zizai's weaknesses are particularly obvious, that is, his soul source is 4 levels behind Yang Mo. Taiwan Novel Network Rightward Arrow. Normally, this is a gap that is difficult to cross. He believes that Zhang Zizai has this capital because of his soul's defenselessness. What makes him feel at ease is that he has a God King level totem weapon that can protect against soul attacks. It is usually useless, but it can be used today. He only needs to be able to support Zhang Zizai's soul attack a little bit, and he will be sure to crush him in battle, leaving him no chance to even take action. At this moment, he turned into a totem beast directly in front of Zhang Zizai. That totem beast was a golden demon god, with golden scales all over his body, standing like a human, huge in size, and similar to the 9-eyed giant demon transformed by the 9 gods that Zhang Zizai had seen before. Its aura was very rough and strong, brutal and explosive, with sharp claws and sharp bone spurs, and a horn like a sharp sword on its head. The most obvious feature of its body was that it had no mouth, nose, or ears on its head, only 8 golden eyes arranged in a disorderly manner, and each eye had a golden and sharp light flashing, like a sea of swords, with surging sword energy. This totem beast, named the ancient 8-eyed golden pupil demon god, was a very rare totem among the Hundong demon clan. No wonder he could become a disciple of the Nether demon. It turned out that he was also from the Hundong demon clan. Judging from his state and aura, he might be stronger than Zhao Wuxian. Zhao Wuxian's eternal Tongtian holy lion demon god might not be the opponent of the Yang demon. The dream god king didn't seem to have any intention of attacking for the time being, and the other 2 people had to do their best to stop the crazy Gao's Haihan, so Zhang Zizai was facing this ancient 8-eyed golden pupil demon god at this moment, and the battle was about to break out. Yang Mo decided to strike first. He immediately took action and killed Zhang Zizai. Although he was the body of a totem beast, his upper limbs were very flexible like other mixed cave demons, and he could directly hold weapons to fight. At this time, he had 2 swords in his hands, the Ligu sword and the Xiang sword, one golden and one purple, slashing at Zhang Zizai. His sword tactics were simple and rough, with big openings and closings. It was extremely difficult to resist head-on, but Zhang Zizai didn't seem to react. Just before this, he also didn't take it too seriously and transformed into a totem beast. When the opponent fought with the power of a totem beast, it was obvious that the chaos-swallowing sky dragon was more convenient to deal with. Yang Mo's sword tactics were only part of his attack. He relied on his domineering body and super-strong divine power to oppress Zhang Zizai in close combat. The biggest threat he brought to Zhang Zizai was actually in his totem ability, that is, the 8 golden pupils. Just when he faced Zhang Zizai, the 8 golden pupils suddenly pierced out countless golden sword chi. This golden sword chi came from the golden sword sea in his eyes. In the golden sword sea, this kind of sword chi was constantly born and burst out. So almost all the time, there was a dense golden sword rain piercing Zhang Zizai, and it was difficult to block it. He was completely murderous, so he was not polite at all. These overwhelming golden sword chi kept piercing, and there was no place to hide. Even if Zhang Zizai had chaos lightning, he could only dodge about half of it, and the other half was completely hit on him. At this time, the role of the Chaos Water Bell, Chaos Gold Bell and Dragon Armor came into play. This golden sword energy was the most powerful attack that Zhang Zizai had ever seen, but it was still difficult to penetrate Zhang Zizai's divine weapon. The golden sword energy that penetrated his triple armor and hit his flesh and blood had almost no power. This power was only a little bit of pain for Zhang Zizai, who had the Chaos Wood Bell and the Fountain of Youth. But even if it was a pain, it was actually very uncomfortable with a lot of toothpicks stabbing his flesh and blood. Although there was no injury for the time being, if he was beaten like this, he might be torn apart. Of course, Zhang Zizai could not passively take a beating. When the opponent completely suppressed him and wanted to quickly suppress and defeat Zhang Zizai, he started to fight back directly. First, the control part of the Nine Dragons Chaos Divine Bell was directly blessed by the Xuan to Heavy Realm, the Soul-Splitting Storm and the Ice-Sealed 10,000 Miles. He was immediately frozen and had to withstand the impact of the Soul-Splitting Storm. The footwork under his feet also became extremely heavy. After that, the Requiem began to play above his head. Zhang Zizai had mastered these divine tools to perfection. As soon as the Requiem came out, the attack of the soul began. When the sound of the Requiem began to bother Yang Mo, he had actually fallen into the vortex of Zhang Zizai's divine soul power. The combination of the Phantom Sky Eye and the Soul-Capturing Eye is extremely terrifying in terms of illusion and control. The Requiem is like water that cannot penetrate anywhere. Even if Yang Mo has defense in terms of soul, the water of the Requiem still penetrates into it, and invisibly, it begins to fall into the rhythm controlled by Zhang Zizai. Zhang Zizai is now stronger than when he defeated Zhao Wuxian and the other three. That's because he has obtained an almost complete flower of origin. Except for the black petals, now there are 6 kinds of existence equivalent to heavenly artifacts. It must be said that this flower of origin is probably a heavenly artifact that is not much worse than the 9-dragon Chaos God Bell. It is completely among the top heavenly artifacts. The heavenly dragon armor can almost strengthen Zhang Zizai by 1 realm, and the Fountain of Youth can regenerate his flesh and blood. In terms of soul, the Phantom Sky Eye and the Soul-Capturing Mirror cooperate with the Chaos Soul Bell to completely suppress Yang Mo at this time. In terms of time and space, after the heavenly god soul merged with the 2 illusory dragons of the ancestral dragon tower, he was familiar with the reverse flow river and the broken world light, which was absolutely easy and natural. At this time, the shattering world light had already attached to the primordial black fire pillar. When Zhang Zizai transformed the Requiem into the soul-killing song, he directly sacrificed the primordial black fire pillar. The light of the shattering world light merged with the primordial black fire pillar. Zhang Zizai grabbed the primordial black fire pillar with his dragon claws, dropped from the sky, and violently killed it with 1 stick. Xuanhuan Strike. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Holy Dragon Totem. Author, Feng Qing Yang. Chapter 1295. The top-level battle tactics that Zhang Zizai had just thought of burst out at this moment. In one move, all of Zhang Zizai's strength was gathered together. The lethality that erupted at this time was simply terrifying. The shattering world light, the 10-fold holy dragon celestial body, the ancient black fire, the destruction god source, etc., were perfectly integrated. This was Zhang Zizai's strongest attack at present. It exploded directly, and the Yang demon itself was controlled by Zhang Zizai's heavenly soul. In fact, this move was enough for Zhang Zizai to kill him. But he still showed mercy and finally let go. But even so, Xuanhuan's attack, which exerted 1/3 of his strength, still beat the Yang demon directly into a human form. He flew back with blood spurting out, and the whole person was smashed to the ground with a pale face. His internal organs were all broken in Xuanhuan's attack. After the power of the shattering world light penetrated, it was directly torn apart by the power of space, and it was difficult to heal. He now almost lost all his combat power. I am afraid that he needs someone to support him before he can move. Such a battle is over, and the Dream God King is too late even if he wants to help. Zhang Zizai returned to human form and appeared in front of them. After putting away those divine weapons, he seemed quite ordinary. It was not until this time that Gao's Haihan woke up from his frenzy, but the violent fight he had just done not only injured himself, but also Qin Fuyu and Zhang Qin's Hung. When the three of them saw Yang Mo defeated directly in front of Zhang Zizai, the three of them stood there speechless. Yang Mo looked up, his expression somewhat collapsed. He gritted his teeth and said, "I didn't expect you to be so powerful. With the hatred between you and me, you don't have to pretend. If you want to kill me, just kill me. My master and the Immortal will avenge me one day and crush your supreme dragon clan." "Yes, we are not cowards," Xuanhuan said angrily. "Who wants to kill you? Just answer my questions honestly." "Who's going?" Zhang Zizai glanced around, and the four of them didn't dare to meet his eyes directly. "Let me do it at this time," the god of illusion and dream finally spoke. In fact, before Zhang Zizai crushed Yang Mo, she saw signs that she wanted to take action, but Zhang Zizai was too fast and killed him with one blow, so she had no time to react. "That's fine," Zhang Zizai said. "You go to the side to rest for a while," the god of illusion and dream said to the four of them. "But be obedient," in the mechanical voice of the god of illusion and dream, the three of them helped the injured Yang Mo up and walked to the side first. At this time, Zhang Zizai came face to face with the god of illusion and dream. Seeing the veil on her face, Zhang Zizai said, "Is there anything shameful? What kind of beauty do you have that you need to hide, afraid that people will lose control and be bewitched by you? This has nothing to do with you. You want to ask questions, just ask directly," she said softly. Although her voice was soft, she still said it word by word, which sounded very awkward. "What is your identity in the chaotic demon realm?" Zhang Zizai asked. "I am the disciple of the immortal venerable," she answered straightforwardly, and it seemed that she had already surrendered. "When did she accept the disciple?" Zhang Zizai asked. "You are quite nosy. It seems that if I don't drive you away, you will keep chattering, right?" Her eyes were still cold. "You mean, before your end is the same as his, you don't plan to answer whatever I ask, right?" "I may do more things you don't want to answer next," Zhang Zizai said in a deep voice. "Yes. But you don't have the ability," Xuanmeng Shenwang said. "You just saw it, do you still have the courage to say that?" Zhang Zizai asked curiously. "Yes." In this way, she asked others to go away, not to answer Zhang Zizai's questions honestly, but to decide the winner with Zhang Zizai. "In that case, just do it directly," Zhang Zizai smiled dumbly. "It has already started," but she suddenly said. "What do you mean?" Zhang Zizai realized that the surroundings were no longer the jungle of the ancient world, but in a white world. When he was talking to her, the surroundings seemed to be moving, and the two seemed to have come to another world. "Where is this place?" Zhang Zizai looked around curiously. In front of him, the white clothes of the dream god king fluttered like a dream. "Primordial illusion sea," she replied. "So, this is your god totem." The first time I saw a god-level totem, it was indeed extraordinary. This was obviously another world. It turned out to be her totem ability. Now in this white world, there are countless possibilities, and there is no way to know how many weird changes there will be. Yes, be prepared to see all the fantasies you can't imagine, and then live here forever. After saying that, she disappeared in front of Zhang Zizai. This is definitely a high-level method, that is, after this, only Zhang Zizai will be beaten, and no one can attack Zhang Zizai. The Taisha Fantasy Sea is a magical world. Everything that happens here, will make people completely immersed in it, and even think that this is the real world. From then on, they will be trapped in it and cannot be freed from it forever. To outsiders, a person who has become a piece of wood is actually equivalent to being dead. This is the most terrifying ability of the Taisha Fantasy Sea. Everything here is so real. However, Zhang Zizai's divine soul's resistance can be said to be stronger than that of the gods. He knew the horror of this primordial illusion sea, so he made preparations directly, and used the Chaos Soul Bell to protect the divine soul at the first time, and the soul capturing mirror and the illusionary eye to protect it. At this time, he could already see the world in front of him changing, and he could see the great Zhongking city, his parents and brothers, the 9 immortals at the beginning, the bell, and every year they spent together. On the beast god tower, under the moonlight, she panted indulgently, and her snow-white skin shone under the moonlight, so real. Those eyes like autumn water, fascinated, made Zhang Zizai unable to control himself, wanting to go to that world, integrate into the self at that time, and give up the soul at this moment. If he made such a choice, he would die completely in this primordial illusion sea, and he would never get out again. These were all temptations of the past beauty to the present moment. From the beginning of the great Zhongking city to the beast god tower at that time, he had a desire. He was still conscious, and the Chaos Soul Bell had indeed blocked many temptations, all of which were fatal. Juxian would always be his biggest weakness. She could make Zhang Zizai have countless desires and fall into them. He could see himself entangled with her under the moonlight and stars, performing a primitive and intense melody. He wanted to get closer, wanted to enter that body of his own, and fight her to death. Holy Dragon Totem. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 1296. When this wish was so strong, the Chaos Soul Bell still suppressed him, making him break out in a cold sweat. He knew more clearly how terrible this primordial illusion sea was. It was indeed the source of the evolution of the gods. Even the souls of the gods could be suppressed like this. She has such means. How many people in the entire ancient world can be her opponents? No matter who it is, once they enter her primordial illusion sea and come to her world, their life and death will be controlled by her. There are simply not many people in this ancient world who can be her opponents. He was clearly aware of this. Even he, whose soul of the gods had such strong resistance, almost lost his mind, not to mention others. But at this moment, the temptation was so real that it was enough to make people forget where this place was, forget the primordial illusion sea, and regard all this as reality. I hope readers will remember our domain name Taiwan Novel Network Rightward Arrow Method GW. Taigzi Universe Soul Refining Technique. This is Zhang Zizai's trump card at the moment. When he survived the divine calamity, the soul calamity that day was so terrible that he once thought it was real, but the divine soul forged by the Taigzi Universe Soul Refining Technique still held on. This time, Zhang Zizai took advantage of his sobriety and sat cross-legged directly, escaping his spiritual will into the Taigzi universe, letting the huge millstone of heaven and earth grind his divine soul. Only by maintaining the stinging pain and excruciating pain can people stay awake. He didn't know how much temptation this Taishu illusion sea had, but he could fight with her until someone couldn't hold on anymore. The Taishu illusion sea, this whole world, might be her incarnation. The illusion she created, even in the Taigzi universe, Zhang Zizai could see it. Fortunately, the millstone of heaven and earth was terrible enough, and those illusions were crushed enough to reach this place. Zhang Zizai was also in pain, but this was the best way to avoid falling into the vortex she created. Otherwise, once you fall into it, you will be completely lost and will never survive in this world again. She doesn't need any means, just this Taishu illusion sea can cause a terrifying effect. Anyway, Zhang Zizai feels that she has almost no problem dealing with Zhao Wuxian Huangzi and others. People like Kong Kong God King and Jing Jing God King are definitely not her opponents. This kind of horror can only be known by personal experience, especially Zhang Zizai is so sentimental, this Taishu illusion sea is particularly lethal to him. Next, there was endless persistence, endless suffering, and endless confrontation. Those fantasies kept appearing, attracting his attention. Even the bits and pieces of his childhood with his parents were so real, pulling him into that vortex. There were even some future fabrications, such as him being on an equal footing with the immortal Venerable, and the three of them living happily together, such as him becoming the peerless overlord, commanding the 49 divine realms, becoming the master of heaven and earth, and letting everyone worship him, such as him finding his parents, and it turned out that his parents were very powerful and controlled heaven and earth. All these fantasies were real. Once Zhang Zizai chose to go in, he could indeed live a life of a family of 3, on an equal footing with the immortal venerable, and could live forever, surviving in this world, but in fact, to the real world, he was already dead. Escaping from reality and choosing beautiful illusions was an absolute cowardly act. So no matter how obvious and intense the temptation was, he would grit his teeth and persist. He would rather let the millstone of heaven and earth grind and the soul of the gods pierce than go to those gentle places. It was even more exaggerated. On a big bed lay Juxian, Yan'er, Shenxiao, Suyuixi, and even Shui Yulian, Feng Xiaoxiao, and all the other women who had had encounters with Zhang Zizai. They were all naked, laughing and playing, waiting for Zhang Zizai to come. Then they shared the rain and dew, and slept together. It was simply the greatest joy in the world, which made people envious. Then there were a group of children, led by Lingling to play. The family was happy and lived a shameless life every day. It was all fake. You can indeed live that kind of life in it, but in the real world, people have lost their souls, which means they are dead. After that, they kept repeating in the Taisha fantasy sea, which was equivalent to the soul of the gods being swallowed in. When something was repeated countless times, it was a nightmare. How long has it been? This was Zhang Zizai's longest confrontation, a fatal battle. It seemed to be bloodless, but it was actually very thrilling. Fortunately, his Taixi Universe soul refining technique and Chaos Soul Bell were very well protected, so Zhang Zizai held on and saw the hope of victory. Days like this felt like years. Zhang Zizai felt like 100 years had passed, but in fact, it was only more than 3 months. A battle that lasted for more than 3 months was indeed too terrifying. But in fact, he didn't know that for someone with a totem like the Taishu Illusionary Sea, a person who could stay in the Taishu Illusionary Sea for more than 3 months was the most terrifying of all. Zhang Zizai clearly felt that those temptations had weakened, and in the end, he didn't even need the Taixi Universe soul refining technique. Those illusions were so false and seemed to be full of loopholes. These seemingly beautiful whirlpools were actually clumsy traps. "You are too scary," her voice suddenly came, and she was finally weak. In this instant, the sky collapsed and the earth split, and the Taisha fantasy sea collapsed. In front of Zhang Zizai, it gathered into the appearance of the fantasy god king. Although she had a veil on her face, it was obvious that she was extremely weak. When she failed to defeat Zhang Zizai, she was the one who was injured. It had to last for more than 3 months, and she was exhausted. However, Zhang Zizai was full of energy because of the forging of the Taixi Universe soul refining technique. The two people's states were very different. Although her flesh and blood were not injured, Yimen was already exhausted in spirit and soul. Her injuries were not worse than Yang Mo more than 3 months ago. It was not until today that Yang Mo finally recovered, and then saw that their battle was over. Of course, he knew that the longer the battle lasted, it meant that she failed to quickly take down Zhang Zizai, and the more terrifying Zhang Zizai was. At least he knew that other god kings had no resistance to the Taisha fantasy sea. Zhang Zizai was the only one who defeated the fantasy god king in this regard. This battle was very rewarding for Zhang Zizai, but it was not enough. He managed to hold on. When she was defeated, Zhang Zizai's goal was achieved. Zhang Zizai had a lot of problems after finally meeting someone from the chaotic demon realm. Naturally, he could not let them leave easily. As soon as he left the Taisha fantasy sea, his reverse flow river had already entangled the fantasy god king, completely entangling her, locking her in the reverse flow river, and then pulling her in front of him. Yang Mo and the others wanted to attack together, but Zhang Zizai frightened them and stopped with a look. Holy Dragon Totem. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 1297. Don't disturb me, or you will all die here." The look in his eyes made even the Yang demon dare not step forward. "You can kill us, but you must not touch her, otherwise no matter who you are, our immortal lord will definitely let you die without a burial place," Yang Mo said angrily. "Really? In the eyes of the immortal, she is more important than me," Zhang Zizai smiled. "Isn't this nonsense? You are just an ant in her eyes. Don't think that a mortal relationship can do anything. It is just a moment of the immortal's fingers," Xuanhuan said. Writing this, I hope readers will remember our domain name Taiwan Novel Network Rightward Arrow. Zhang Zizai was too lazy to pay attention to them. He looked at the woman in front of him. She seemed to be looking at him blankly, and said tiredly, "You win. Just ask whatever you want. If you can't answer, just kill me." Zhang Zizai stared into her eyes and was silent for a while. "You didn't tell me at first, but now that I have given up after defeat, my conditions are no longer just like this." He approached the woman, and he had already locked her in a severely injured state. Zhang Zizai suddenly stretched out his hand and took her. The veil, which is worthy of being a God King level totem weapon, is quite difficult to pull apart. However, because the owner of this totem weapon is mentally exhausted and unable to cope, Zhang Zizai relies on the power of the holy dragon celestial body to still be here. At that moment, with lightning speed, the veil was quickly torn apart. Otherwise, she is so sneaky, who knows what she is going to do? Could it be because she is so ugly? "Stop! Zhang Zizai, the immortal lord has ordered." At this time, Yang demon god Se was shocked, but before he finished speaking, he was completely stunned because Zhang Zizai had succeeded. And when they accidentally saw the appearance of the person under the veil, they felt as if they were struck by lightning. They knelt down tremblingly and said in admiration with great excitement, "Immortal Lord! I have to say how shocking it is at this moment." Zhang Zizai looked at the woman in front of him blankly. He just felt that she was somewhat familiar, and he knew that she could hide a lot, but he still didn't think in this direction. After removing the veil, the woman in front of him looks like the 9 immortals. When the veil disappeared, there was no hiding anymore. Everything about her was exactly the same as her, and there was no difference at all from who she was in Zhang Zizai's heart. She is so beautiful, so gentle and free, not like the immortal, who is aloof and cold to the bone. And it seems that even the 4 of them don't know what she really looks like. Who knows who she is? How could she be the 9 immortals? How could she be the immortal? Immortal Lord, how could it be possible to come here? After the veil was removed, she panicked for a while, but calmed down. Her voice returned to its previous mechanical tone, and was exactly the same as before. She said to Yang Mo and the others, "Don't admit it wrong. I just look similar to Master because I come from the same lineage as Master. Because of this, I need to hide it? I am just worried about being mistaken." "I see." In fact, Yang Mo and the others were frightened. After hearing this explanation was only normal. It turns out that Sister Yimen looks exactly like Xianzun. She is so beautiful. I am so envious. Xuanhuan's eyes shone with admiration. Xianzun was originally her idol. After finishing speaking, she looked at Zhang Zizai and said, "I saw it, are you satisfied now? What else do you want? Kill me, or ask questions?" Zhang Zizai hasn't recovered from the sluggishness. He looks like a fool now, just looking at her like this. She is not afraid of death at all, not afraid of anything, just looking at him calmly. "Who are you?" Zhang Zizai was in a confused mood. "Don't think too much, my name is Yimen. I know that you have feelings for the immortal lord. Although it is boring and meaningless, please don't transfer it to me. I have nothing to do with your 9 immortals." "Of course, the immortal lord, it has nothing to do with your 9 immortals." Her tone was calm, without any fluctuation at all. It seemed more real when she said it this way. But she didn't know what kind of impact her behavior had on Zhang Zizai. "You lied to me," Zhang Zizai said. "It makes no sense." She shook her head. "No one in the world has everything exactly the same. No matter how much you hide it, you can't deceive me. I know who you are, and I know you may have difficulties. You can continue to lie to me, but I won't believe it." "You have your own judgment," Zhang Zizai said firmly. "For example, Zhang Junjian, how many have appeared so far? He has one biological brother, one under Daejiang King City, one from Tianlong God King, and one from Longyuan, the ancestor of the ancient realm. Are they just similar in appearance?" Zhang Zizai believed that they must be connected. In the end, are Yimen and Xianzun just similar in appearance? The reason Zhang Zizai thought this was because he remembered something. When he and Shui Yulian met in Zilongjiyuan, in the hallucination of the red flower, Shui Yulian told him that the immortal lord would everything about the 9 immortals was transferred to her. Now, is there such a desire that she really transfers everything about the 9 immortals to one person, but that person is not Shui Yulian, but Yi Meng? Her smell, her eyes, her movements, were all too familiar. Even if she didn't recognize him, Zhang Zizai was sure that he couldn't have recognized the wrong person. Maybe she didn't recognize him because of oppression from someone, most likely the oppression from the immortal venerable. It was very likely that the immortal venerable had other arrangements, and maybe she was in trouble. But Zhang Zizai couldn't control himself. He had received too much oppression from the immortal venerable over the years. Now he wanted to lean on her full arms and feel it. "You are so boring," she shook her head and said helplessly. Zhang Zizai saw Yang Mo and the others. "There are people around, so it's inconvenient, right?" "What do you want to do?" Yi Meng said nervously. "Take you away." Zhang Zizai moved as soon as he finished speaking. He controlled her with the Nilia River. He directly hugged her by the waist and accelerated directly with the chaos lightning. Yang Mo reacted and was about to chase him wildly, but he let Zhang Zizai's soul-catching mirror in his eyes take a look and stood still. When he reacted, Zhang Zizai had disappeared. The 4 of them were all stunned. "What's going on?" Qin Fuyu asked. It's obvious that Zhang Zizai doesn't believe Yimen is the disciple of the immortal venerable. He still thinks that she is the mortal body of the immortal venerable, so he snatched her away, Gao's Haihan said. "Then what should we do?" Qin Fuyu said anxiously. "No way." Zhang Qinsheng said that the most difficult thing in the entire ancient realm is to find Zhang Zizai. Yimen can only pray for the best. I hope Zhang Zizai won't kill her. Yang Mo suppressed his anger and helplessness. "I won't kill her, but if he goes crazy and insists that Sister Yimen is the person he is looking for and violates her, what should we do?" Qin Fuyu said nervously. Yang Mo's eyes were red. Although he didn't know where Zhang Zizai went, he still chased after him. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Holy Dragon Totem. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 1298. Chapter 1298. An elderly person at home fell down accidentally and broke his wrist. He was sent to the hospital for an X-ray and a small operation. Crazy has been busy all day and has only come back now. Today is a special situation. It is different from being in a bad state. I am a little tired after a busy day. I want to take a day off today. Thank you all. I will get up early tomorrow to write. There are always some unexpected things in life. I hope everyone understands that normal work has holidays, but writing books does not have holidays. Crazy has very few days of absence in a year. Sorry for today. In fact, some readers will definitely say that I boasted that I would write 4 chapters a day, but I didn't do it. This matter really needs to be explained. The biggest role of me saying how many chapters a day is actually to spur myself. When I was writing Dragon Blood, I wrote 3 chapters a day. If I updated 2 chapters, I would be scolded. When I was writing Heaven Swallowing Record, I wrote 2 chapters a day. I would be scolded if I updated 1 chapter. For Holy Dragon Totem, I insisted on writing 4 chapters every day, but I would be scolded if I updated 3 chapters. In fact, I could have said 3 chapters, 2 chapters, and then 4 chapters a day, so that everyone would feel that it exceeded expectations every day, and would be very happy, thinking that the madman had added more chapters. But why not? Because if I said 3 chapters a day, then I would struggle to write 3 chapters every day. I can't write 4 chapters at all. If I said 4 chapters, then my goal is 4 chapters, and I work hard for 4 chapters. 3 chapters are easy. People are lazy, I believe everyone has it. So overall, the updates are indeed much more than the previous book. Compared with other authors, everyone knows this update, so please see my efforts. Thank you everyone, I will continue. Holy Dragon Totem. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 1299. Push open the door, close it, the starry sky is right above your head, under the entire galaxy, there are only the 2 of them left, and there is also a large round bed that Zhang Zizai once placed in the center of this room. It is actually here. How can it be possible to say that the ancient world has no connection with the origin continent? This is what I put here. It was on this bed that I turned Juxian from a boy into a man. And now, she is standing on the side, looking at Zhang Zizai warily, and asked, "What do you want to do?" "Lie down and look at the stars together." Zhang Zizai smiled. No. Although she refused, her injuries have not recovered yet, and Zhang Zizai was entangled in the counter-current river, so it was difficult for her to move. Zhang Zizai asked her to lie down, so she had to lie down. When she lay flat on the round bed and looked at the galaxy in the sky, she had to say that the scenery was indeed beautiful. With a whimper, Zhang Zizai also lay down beside her, resting his head on his arm and looking at the sky, saying with great satisfaction, "This feeling is really like a dream back to the past. But every time I lie down and look at the stars in this comfortable way, it is after I'm done, when both of us are exhausted." "What do you mean by done?" She was a little puzzled. "It's just a human mission to reproduce offspring," Zhang Zizai said. She rolled her eyes and said contemptuously, "A mortal like you is really lucky to have such an experience with master." "Not your master, but you." Zhang Zizai turned sideways and stared at her profile. His eyes were so aggressive that she was startled. She quickly asked, "What do you want to do?" Zhang Zizai leaned over, put his head in her arms, nestled in her sweet and soft arms, closed his eyes, stretched out his hands to hold her slender waist, held her tightly in his arms, squinted his eyes and said with satisfaction, "Nothing, just want to hold you and sleep for a while. These years, I've been too tired to find you. Finally found you. You." She gritted her teeth and stiffened her body. Maybe it was such a strange thing to let a man nestle in her arms like a child, which was enough to make her busy, but she couldn't break free. "It smells so good," just like before. Zhang Zizai rubbed his face in her arms, squeezing her sensitive and plump position, with a satisfied look on his face, but it made her heart beat faster and her face completely red. She suddenly changed. In the struggle, her eyes suddenly became complicated, as if she had experienced the replacement of several souls. She suddenly became a little dazed, watching the man in her arms holding her like a child, burying himself in her arms, closing his eyes, his face extremely peaceful, as if there was no danger in the world, and wherever she was, it was the safest place of gentleness. "Jur, I didn't expect that after finding you, you would become another person. Fortunately, you are still here. I always thought you were completely dead, so do you know how happy I was when I saw you? I thought God had tortured me too much, but I didn't expect that I was still lucky." Your appearance is the best reward for my efforts over the years. He seemed to be talking in his sleep, and only he knew that when Xuanhuan appeared in the form of an immortal, he took away the bell, and then everyone said that the Xuanhuan he was looking for was equivalent to dead. How cruel it was for him. It was like a dream completely shattered. Now he didn't expect that there was a chance for this dream to be reunited. He was ecstatic, and his hug was so tight and strong that he almost rubbed her thin waist completely into his body. He was a little lost in love, and continued to bury himself deep in her chest, saying almost obsessively, "I miss you, I miss you, I miss you." He said it 3 times in a row, not repeating, but getting more and more intense, until the end, like a roar of catharsis, pouring all his thoughts on her. Then, a miracle happened. I don't know when, suddenly a pair of soft arms suddenly hugged Zhang Zizai's neck. She exerted a little force, and almost made Zhang Zizai's head stick closer. Her smell was unique, and what Zhang Zizai felt at this moment was this unique fragrance, which could completely ignite all the fire in his heart, burning it into a fire against the sky, making him murderous in an instant. She took the initiative to hug herself. What does it mean? Zhang Zizai raised his head vigorously and looked at her ecstatically. At this moment, he finally saw her. Her eyes were blurred, and there was a hint of cunning and tenderness on her mouth. Before Zhang Zizai was about to speak, she stretched out her delicate jade hand, covered Zhang Zizai's mouth, and said with a smile and passion, "Don't talk, love me. This is too much." What made Zhang Zizai happy the most was not what he could do, but his intuition. All his guesses were correct. She really couldn't pretend anymore. She was indeed Xuanhuan, Zhang Zizai's jeweler. These 5 short and rough words were her character. Otherwise, no one would say these words to him. She was still alive, alive in this beast god tower, which was already the best dream. Even if it was just a dream, for Zhang Zizai, it was the peak of bliss. He had been waiting for this moment for too long. Only when she was dreaming would she hold her arms around his neck like this, smiling and looking at him gently. Her eyes could penetrate his soul and make Zhang Zizai's anger surge. She didn't need to do anything, just stick out her hot pink tongue and gently turn it on her lips, so that Zhang Zizai could see the transparent and mellow saliva, which was enough to make his asterisk barrel that had been suppressed for 10,000 years explode. At this moment, no words were needed. Zhang Zizai turned into a beast and tore his clothes directly. Under the starlight, his snow-white body was like a dream. It was the most perfect work of art in heaven, exposed in front of Zhang Zizai's eyes. There was no need for foreplay. It had already been turbulent. On the Beast God Tower, there was a long-lost passion and indulgence. She never concealed her voice, especially when there was no one on the entire Sky Island. The tragic movement almost shook the Sky Island. The clouds and rains of Xuanhuan Mountain last for a long time. The longer the longing is, the longer and more fiercer the majestic waves are. Only endless lingering can completely dissolve the longing. Otherwise, it will remain on the body, which is all poisonous liquid and giant mountains. At this moment, the mountains collapse and the earth cracks, and the sea dries up and the rocks crumble. Zhang Zizai didn't know how long this majestic battle lasted. He only knew that again and again, there were traces in every corner of the top floor of the Beast God Tower. I won't describe the rest in detail. Anyway, it was very long, a very long time. Holy Dragon Totem. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 1300. It wasn't until she was truly exhausted and unable to beg for mercy that the battle ended. The battlefield was in a mess. Under the starlight, Zhang Zizai leaned in her arms and fell asleep. Since she left, she has never fallen asleep again, let alone this. A moment of peace, and the man who was smaller than herself in her arms had a flushed face and a smile on his lips. He also entered a dream. At this moment, the stars were shining on him, and the picture was so perfect that it was like a dream. A dream, but actually, not a dream. Until the sun rose and burned me, someone pulled my ears and teased, "Little rascal, get up, the sun is shining on your butt. If you don't get up, you will become a little monkey." When I opened my eyes in a daze, she was sitting on the edge dressing up. When her back and long hair appeared in front of my eyes, I dreamed back to that time. This familiar scene was so similar to before. She's really back, she's really not dead. In the early morning, it was the intense moment. Without saying a word, Zhang Zizai pounced on her again and carried her back to the bed. Without giving her a chance to breathe, she gave up after a few more clouds and rain. When her face was rosy, she continued. While dressing up, Zhang Zizai stood behind her and looked at her beautiful face. He had pinched himself countless times. He was really not dreaming. She is really the 9 Immortals, not just a dream. She was just pretending before this. Sure enough, no matter how much she pretends to be, she still can't escape Zhang Zizai's eyes. His intuition is completely right. But he still has a lot of doubts, such as what is her current relationship with the Immortal Lord? How does she exist in another identity? Is it the same as what I saw in the confusion of Huan Tian'ai, that it was the Immortal Lord who devoted her mortal career to another person, making her the new 9 Immortals, and she abandoned the mortal world and continued to be her immortal? When he leaned on her shoulder and was about to speak, she spoke first. She shushed and said, "Don't ask anything. You just need to know that you and I are here. That's enough." "What? Don't even ask." "Good. This time, Zhang Zizai will not make trouble unreasonably." She did not admit it before, and then she was moved by Zhang Zizai and admitted it. There must be something unspeakable. Now that she has paid for herself and changed, as a sensible self, naturally she cannot make it difficult for her again. 2 people here are indeed enough. Zhang Zizai just needed an answer, and now he had this answer. But he absolutely swore that one day, he would have the strength to figure out all these things, and he would let her in front of him be upright and no longer need to hide. This is the oath from the bottom of his heart and his goal. He knows that this may mean fighting against the Immortal Lord, but he is fearless. Without asking anything, you can guess what kind of pressure she has to face now that she is entangled with Zhang Zizai, and this pressure must come from the Immortal Lord. If they were really distinguished, then Zhang Zizai would not have any feelings for the Immortal Lord, and would even be his enemy at some point. He doesn't need to ask, he just needs to give her enough love. It's not easy for him, but it's never easy for her to survive with another identity. After dressing up, she was still as pretty and charming as ever. Even after just a fight, she could make Zhang Zizai want to fight again. "Lower your head." She looked at the mirror and asked Zhang Zizai to rest his head on her shoulder from behind. Then she reached out and pinched Zhang Zizai's face and said, "Looking at your charming face, your skills are still the same. So good. Tell me, how many mistresses have you found for me along the way?" "Mistress? What is it?" Zhang Zizai was stunned for a moment. She still spoke strangely like that. It should be the words in her memory from her previous life. "You're just a bitch who ruins other people's marital happiness." She squinted her eyes and smiled. "Absolutely not. What about little girl Long Yan? Did she push her down?" She turned around and asked with a smile. "No, I'm not that kind of person." Zhang Zizai coughed twice. "I believe you, haha. If you hadn't held it in for too long, how could you not give people a chance to breathe, little villain?" Under the sun, Zhang Zizai held her waist and looked down at her. The deep ravine on her snow-white chest was still so charming. What is a peerless beauty? This is the one in front of me. Zhang Zizai couldn't resist her temptation anyway. With just a little temptation, he would turn into a beast and satisfy her. "Forget everything, don't say anything, so that I can stay with you." This is what she said. "Therefore, we cannot talk about the past, nor the future, nor the reasons. These were all the pressures she was under. Zhang Zizai was very obedient. If she knew that she had enough resistance, she would definitely tell herself that there were some things that she couldn't rush into. She said that Zhang Zizai's current progress has made her she marveled, and he was hopeful to go down until he could change all the positions. Therefore, we must cherish the time we spend together and must not embarrass her. In the arms of this beauty, in the gentle passion, Zhang Zizai could forget about looking for the few mythical beast kings. He could give up walking on the origin continent and choose to stay on this sky island. He could also ignore others and get more. Because the 9 immortals said that she felt that the treasures of the 49 sacrifices should be on the sky island, so there was no need to go down. Zhang Zizai believed her. There was no one else on Sky Island. They lived a life in their dreams here, with only laughter and passion, and sleeping in each other's arms in the wind and rain. Zhang Zizai made up for what he missed in these years. Their battlefields were all over Sky Island, because Zhang Zizai knew that she would always leave temporarily, so he had to hurry up, lest she left when she woke up from the dream one day. If Zhang Zizai expected, she was still under the control of the immortal venerable and could not help herself. Endless lingering, intimate love words, rubbing ears, love like a tide. Say nothing, ask nothing, just one look, and you know what the other person is thinking, as if you are back to the beginning. She was still young, lively, and free and easy, and a little eccentric, with a lot of ideas in her mind. What she had to do every day was naturally dressing up. Maybe her identity as the dream god king was too oppressive for her, so when she was completely liberated, she would wear different clothes in front of Zhang Zizai every day. In her words, beautiful clothes should be worn for people who can appreciate them. Living like this, Zhang Zizai sometimes wanted time to stop here completely. But he knew that Yan'er was still waiting for him to save her life. He also knew that Lingdang was still with the immortal venerable. His parents and brother also didn't know where they had gone. It was impossible to let time stay at this moment forever. She didn't say it, but Zhang Zizai knew she would leave. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Holy Dragon Totem. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 1301. He didn't ask when he would leave. After confirming the date, it was very painful to count the time, so he cherished every day as if it was the last day, and gave her the best, so that every day as long as she was still there would be a big surprise. Such dreamy days, passionate and indulgent days, lasted for 8 or 9 months. 2 years had passed since the 49th festival of the ancient realm. In these 8 or 9 months, it was difficult for Zhang Zizai to make progress in his realm. After all, the divine beast king of the origin continent was almost extinct. Before there was a new opportunity, it was difficult for him to break through to the 6th level of the divine king. Of course, it would take at least hundreds of years for a normal divine king to reach the 6th level. He was already good enough to go against the sky. This speed was just a little slower than before. This was also limited by limited resources. Now it is estimated that refining the divine beast king comparable to the 9th level of the divine king with the swallowing Yuanju would not have much effect on him, not to mention that there were not many. For the crystal fragments, people had already killed them all. That day finally came. I delayed you. This time is my limit. I have to go. She did not leave quietly, but formally told Zhang Zizai. Okay, Zhang Zizai knew this day would come. He was very calm. After 8 or 9 months, he had already resolved his longing. Now he was very calm. The deeper he loved her, the more he knew that he needed to let her go now, and then work hard to become stronger, so that he could change her fate one day. What should I do next? Zhang Zizai couldn't help asking. Keep getting stronger, she said gently. Can you wait until that day? Zhang Zizai asked. You are so brave, I guess you can, she smiled and said. Okay, Zhang Zizai nodded. He only needed to know this. In addition to saving Yan'er, he had a new goal to become stronger. In the past 2 years, many people have been blessed and strengthened. Some people have the fighting power comparable to that of gods. You can't take the future competition lightly, understand, she finally reminded him. Zhang Zizai knew this. Every time the golden color text appeared, he paid attention. He nodded again. Even if it was her, he would still talk about it when he left. Also, after this time, you are not allowed to touch other girls, otherwise I will cut off your little brother and make you stop thinking about it, she said with a sly smile. I will try my best not to let you find out, Zhang Zizai said with a smile. You want to be beaten, she ran up, but failed to hit Zhang Zizai, but was caught by Zhang Zizai. There was a heroic battle at the Gate of Origin. After explaining, she smiled, her face flushed, and left with satisfaction. Until she left, Zhang Zizai took a deep breath. He knew that from now on, he would embark on a new journey and start a new real war. There are still 3 years before the 49th festival. Within 3 years, there will be great changes. This sky island has become lonely, and no one comes anymore. Zhang Zizai guards the top floor of the Beast God Tower. In fact, during this time, he has been exploring this sky island and has made some discoveries. He has also entered the initial God realm, but so far, he has not figured out the clues. After the 9 immortals left, he put his heart and soul here. At least no one else has come here yet, so he still has a lot of time to comprehend and search here. Origin Pillar. Half a year later, Zhang Zizai found the point where the 5 origin pillars were connected on this sky island. In the center of the 5 origin pillars, he placed the ancient black fire pillar here. When the ancient black fire pillar became large enough and the same size as the 5 origin pillars, suddenly, the sky island opened up, as if some kind of mechanism was opened, and then, new changes were born. The 5 origin pillars, plus the ancient black fire pillar, suddenly shone. It was night at this time. This shining light was enough to illuminate the entire origin continent and the entire ancient realm. The shining 5 origin pillars and the ancient black fire pillar, the light rose and gathered in the center of the sky. In an instant, they collided and turned into a huge sun, burning fiercely, suspended above the ancient black fire pillar, that is, above the center of the sky island. It was a blue sun, which was getting bigger and bigger, and the dazzling blue light illuminated the world. When the origin god pillar and the ancient black fire god pillar dimmed, only the light of the blue sun illuminated the world, making the origin continent in the dark night return to daytime again. However, this time, the sky and the earth were shrouded in blue light, which looked weird and gloomy, but it was obvious that the temperature was even hotter. Blue sun, Qingyang ancient god, Zhang Zizai was standing under this blue sun, extremely shocked. He was the one who opened this vision, but he knew that when this blue sun appeared, it was bound to attract people from the entire ancient realm. In the past, only some people could see the vision, but now this vision can be said to absolutely fluctuate the entire ancient realm, no one will be missed, and everyone will notice it. And at this time, the golden text appeared again. Sacrifice to the dragon god realm, Zhang Zizai, start the Qingyang sacrifice. What is the Qingyang sacrifice? Just look at the sky, the blue sun is so dazzling. After this, it will definitely attract all the living god kings in the ancient realm to come here frantically. The golden text is very short, and it sounds like there is no advantage at all. Zhang Zizai is a little depressed, after all, it was he who started it. He was a little unconvinced. Since he didn't have the first chance, but now he was the only one here, maybe he could seize the first chance, so he flew towards the blue sun and rushed up. Only when he got close, he found that the burning fire was so terrible that even the Sky Dragon armor plus the Chaos Gold Bell and Chaos Water Bell could not support it at all. He hadn't entered the core position of the Blue Sun yet. Once he entered, the heavenly artifact might be melted. It seems that this is a very critical change in the 49 festivals. It may be the most critical one, or even the one that determines the first place in the 49 festivals. I can't be anxious. Zhang Zizai calmed down and warned himself that except for his reckless he didn't mess around, but thought of other ways. By the way, this is summoned by the ancient black fire pillar and the other 5 origin pillars. Maybe the other 4 origin pillars will have mysteries. The origin pillars of the origin continent are all holy objects. There are 5 origin pillars in Sky Island, 1 in each of the 5 major palaces. There used to be an origin pillar in the Beast God Palace, and Zhang Zizai was very familiar with its location. He flew directly there and came to the origin pillar again. Holy Dragon Totem. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 1302. Zhang Ziyu had been thinking about the origin of the divine pillar of the Divine Beast Palace for a long time. Even this one in the ancient realm had been pondered for a long time during this period. But when I arrived this time, I found that the divine pillar of origin was extra different. It was a red divine pillar of origin. Now, the divine pillar of origin was burning with red fire. Something had changed in its appearance. The changes have become somewhat similar to the ancient black fire god pillar. Zhang Zizai quickly came to the red pillar of origin. Under the blazing flames, when he got closer, it seemed that he did not feel the burning sensation in his divine body and divine source. But strangely, when his divine source of destruction approached the red flame of the divine pillar of origin, it began to tremble, and then began to burn. The red flame was already invisible, attached to Zhang Zizai's divine source. The ancient black fire divine pillar burns the divine soul. This divine pillar of origin of the red flame burns the divine source. He was a little surprised. It seemed that the pillar of origin was probably a kind of divine weapon. And it is so similar to the ancient black fire god pillar, maybe it is the same series. Furthermore, the cyan sun in the sky appeared before, also because of the effect of these 6 god pillars, which also shows that this ancient black fire god pillar there may be some connection with the origin pillar. This cyan sun has just appeared. Everyone must be speeding up here, but even if it is nearby, it will take some time. I have to try as soon as possible. Having said this, he didn't say anything, and directly approached the red pillar of origin. He already had enough heavenly artifacts. The recent battles were all supported by the heavenly artifacts, but most of them were related to divine souls. Of course, he is very interested in this crimson-colored pillar of origin that can burn the source of the gods due to its lethality. Superior. He did what he said. He endured the burning of the red pillar of origin, rushed forward and pressed his palm on it. He could clearly feel that the ancient black fire pillar had something in common with the pillar of origin. It felt like this red pillar of origin was obviously waiting for his arrival. I originally thought that it would be very difficult to perform the sacrifice this time, but I never expected that the process was unexpectedly simple. In this pillar of origin, the inner spirit is a red crow. When Zhang Zizai's heavenly soul entered it, the black crow of the ancient black Vulcan pillar also followed. When these 2 crows were entangled, Zhang Zizai's soul entered. Zizai knew that the artifact was his own today. Because in the entanglement, the 2 crows merged into one body. Their color was half red and half black, and they were even bigger. And outside, the origin god pillar and the god pillar were placed together. The ancient black fire divine pillars merged together at this time and became a divine pillar. The divine pillar is divided into 2 sections. The upper section burns into a red flame, which can burn the divine source, while the lower section burns into a black flame, which can burn the divine source. In this way, the new divine pillar must be more powerful. The 2 flames converge, and the lethality is certainly fierce. It is no longer the only attack power of the divine soul like before. This is the evolution and improvement of the heavenly artifact. The new crow god likes Zhang Zizai very much, which seems to mean that Zhang Zizai can get this new heavenly artifact if he gets the ancient black fire pillar. This seemed to be a gift from the ancient god Qing Yang. Of course it could also be his setup, and Zhang Zizai just happened to be the lucky one. Of course, he knew that this was definitely just the beginning. After taking away the new divine pillar, he immediately moved to the Sword God Palace. The origin pillar of the Sword God Palace was burning with golden fire. Zhang Zizi was approaching. At this time, I finally felt the burning of the golden fire on the divine body. Whether it was flesh, blood, bones, or internal organs, as long as I got close, I would have to endure the terrible flames. So far, black fire, red fire and golden fire have burned the divine soul, divine source and divine body respectively, but I don't know what effect the three remaining divine pillars of the five origins will have. What made Zhang Zizai very satisfied was that the process of obtaining the divine pillar of origin with golden fire was the same as before. He and the crow god of the original divine pillar entered the new divine pillar of origin. They naturally it merged again, and a three-color crow of black, red, and gold appeared. The original ancient black fire pillar was now connected with new parts, forming three sections, each burning with three types of flames. It's really cool, Zhang Zizai couldn't help but sigh. Now that it has three sections and a new divine pillar with three types of flames, it is indeed very cool. Three colors, three types of flames, upper, middle and lower, burn the divine body, divine source and divine soul respectively. During the battle, the three flames burst out together. Of course, the flower of origin on the back of his left hand and the 9 dragons chaos divine bell behind his back are equally attractive. So far, these three heavenly artifacts are the supreme level among the heavenly artifacts, but Zhang Zizai knows, there are also three pillars of origin, and they might be able to be fused. He hurriedly set off and came to the Spirit God Palace. He originally thought that all the pillars of origin should be filled with flames. When he came here, he discovered that this pillar of origin was actually densely wrapped with purple lights that formed a grid. Colored lightning, this purple-colored lightning completely entangled the divine pillar of origin, like countless electric snakes swimming around the divine pillar, which was rougher than flames. When he approached, he could feel the lethality of this purple lightning, which was also aimed at the divine body, just like the golden flame, but one was lightning, a rapid bombardment, and the other was flame, a continuous burning. The effect was the same, but the type of lethality was different. Can it continue to merge? Zhang Zizai approached, enduring the explosion of the purple lightning with his flesh. When he brought the three-color crow spirit into the divine world of the origin pillar, the crow surrounded by purple lightning flew over and merged with the three-color crow to become a four-color crow. It's just that among the three kinds of flames, a purple lightning was added, which looked not so symmetrical. The origin pillar was also integrated into the three-color pillar, becoming a four-color pillar. The purple lightning was inserted between the black flame and the red flame, instead of being directly connected to the end. Zhang Zizai estimated that the remaining two origin pillars should also be lightning, and the final formation of this heavenly artifact should have 6 sections, with one section of flame followed by another section of lightning and thunder. Next, it was similar to what he guessed. On the side of the wood god palace, the origin pillar was covered with white lightning. This white lightning could split the soul and had the same effect as the ancient black fire, but the burst was more violent and the continuous damage was worse. The white lightning section was connected to the top of the four-color pillar, which was completely opposite to the position of the ancient black fire. In this way, both ends of the five-color pillar were attacked by the soul.